Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division in the Glenmonarch 9-hole cup, all course of the Glenmonarch Estates. Video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. Here I'm going to play for the green, playing with a club that gives me the most distance. In this case I'm having an Apocalypse level 5, and I would say that if you have a 9 mile per hour plus, and then you can play with an extra mile or with a Thor's hammer as well and still be able to reach to the spot that we are aiming for. I'm choosing to use this guide here to actually show an aggressive route on this hole, because this route is not that many players that actually know existing, but many of the players that has been playing these courses before knows that you can always lay up and play it very safe and still have a good chance for the eagle. You will also in this playthrough see me play courses which would have a very dark view. There is 3 courses, if I'm not mistaken, that has a dark view, and that is not because we're going to have a dark view on that in the tournament. It's because I'm using all the recordings to be able to provide guides for you all before the tournament starts. And then when the tournament starts, I will be making new playthroughs with, of course, the normal view on this course. Doesn't mean just because it's a dark view that we're going to play differently. We're going to play the shot same. Our opponent plays with a basic ball, makes a nice shot, and here you can see, no, not a basic ball, sorry. It's going to be played on the right side, and then you can lay up and you will have a very nice eagle chance from distance. If you lay up, the second shot is going to be 10% uphill, so you need to subtract that from your adjustment. The drive for both approaches is going to be 10% downhill, and here I'm going for the dunk as I'm going to get myself a nice little eagle. Get an eagle here, you're definitely giving yourself an advantage over your opponent. Hole number 2, here we do have a par 3 where we do have to over adjust a shot 20%. I'm normally using the red ring by the rough line there with my sniper, with all from 3 to 4 bars of backspin depending on the wind angle here. Well, now we do have a tailwind and a crosswind, and I would say using a little bit less than 4 bars would be the most accurate thing to do. 1 bar of side spin to compensate for the extra push that we're getting, and I'm also offsetting the ball guideline around 1 green square to the left of the pin. And now we're going to over adjust the shot 20%, and then we're going to take our shot. This is going to be a possibility to make a hole-in-one here, but it's not going to be a consistent hole-in-one, but definitely a good chance. This hole has been in the game forever, and it's a course that many players has been making a hole-in-one on. Hole number 3, and here is going to be a quick little video here for hole number 3, where I'm going to try to lay up with a berserker ball. It's not often that I'm playing with a berserker ball on a par 5, especially if I cannot reach very close to the green in 2. But it fulfills a very good purpose here using a power 5 ball. I'm not using any topspin, any backspin here, using 1 bar of side spin to the right. The plan for me here is to go with maxed overpower and get my ball as close to the top rough as possible. Unfortunately here I'm not using enough side spin to the right, as the ball in this case is going to bounce more into the left and then it's going to just roll into the rough. This will mean that I will not be able to reach for the green in 2, and I can live with that, just that I make the necessary tweaks for the next time. The reason I also can live with that is that from this part of the rough I can still reach for the top end of the next fairway, and I will then have a wedge or a short iron towards the pin. Because this is a course where if you choose to pick the correct club and the correct ball and also the correct type of setup for your shots, then you will have a chance to get to the green in 2. But if you do not do that, then you will have to lay up regardless. So that's why it's not the end of the world if you go into the rough there. I'd rather push my drive a little bit harder using a power 5 ball, so I know that if I stay on the fairway like our opponent is doing, I should be having a much better chance to get the ball to the green in 2 than our opponent is having here. The approaches for the green is going to be with no elevation, so then you're going to either bounce before the bunker, or you're going to have to use topspin to roll through the rough in between the bunkers there on the top. That's up to you to decide. Drive 10% downhill, very important. We go to hole number 4 here, and this is going to be the best par 3 to make an hole-in-one. And I'm going to go for the rough bump. I don't believe using the spot here as our opponent is doing is going to be the most accurate and best way. I do like base that on the fact that, you know, it's very easy to get the like not the correct spin adjustment when playing this hole. I played this hole multiple times from second tee and also from third tee, and the rough bump is by far the most consistent way to play this hole. There is when you make the rough bump, there is a road or like a funnel or whatever we can call it on the green, which is going to make the ball, you know, take a very nice roll up towards the pin and going to give us, once again, a very good chance to making a hole-in-one. If I do have a tailwind, I'm going to play this one with around 1 bar of topspin. If I do have a crosswind, I want to play with 1.5 to 2 bars. If I do have a headwind, I want to play 2 to 2.5 bars, depending on the strength, obviously. Play with the ball that you feel the most comfortable with. You don't have to play with a power 4 ball. It's due to that I went into shootout with a power 4 ball. That's why I'm playing it. 10% extra. We do need to do that's the elevation. We don't need to add more, so add the 10% and then you're gonna be totally fine. And if you're lucky, the ball is going to take this roll. As you can see here, it rolls very, very nicely up here towards the pin, giving ourselves a nice little hole-in-one. Hole number 5, and here we do have once again a good opportunity for an eagle, I would say. We are going to, with this type of wind, we have 2 options. 1, we can lay up as our opponent is doing. 2, we can try to get the ball as close to the top as possible, giving ourselves a nice little chance making an eagle from distance. And of course, layup is also a possibility for an eagle, but you know, I don't see it as good as if you lay up there to the top. Our opponent there is doing one thing that I think is a mistake, is to use a ball with very limited amount of side spin. I would like to have a lot of side spin if I lay up, so I then can, you know, put myself away from playing very close to the rough line there to the right. I'm playing with a Titan here using max side spin to the right, which is 4.5 bars and 1 bar top spin. Reason I'm using the side spin is only to compensate for the secondary push that I'm gonna get from the wind. So if I would be having the same type of wind now, but crosswind left to right instead of right to left, then I would be using side spin left instead of right. So just to help myself with the ball to just straighten it out once it hits the ground. Now the ball gets up there to the top, very pleased with that, and the power 3 ball will help me giving myself the distance of, help me get the distance for my second shot. If we do have any form of tailwind, then we're going to try to go for green in 1, even if we have a tailwind crosswind coming left to right. So in that case, then we're going to try ourselves a power hook, and there is going to be multiply options, I believe, here on the channel and also on the website, combined with on other content creators as well. So if there is a tailwind, we need to go for the pin, as we then would be having a good chance to get to the green in 1. There is always a risk trying to go for the green in 1, is that we do have all this water, and there will be people dropping into the water as well if you're not making a good adjustment. Here, for the approach when lay up, I would like you to play with all but 1 bar backswing with the Thorn. And I think the Thorn is a club that it's needed to be having, because we do need to make a max backspin approach. We also want to aim a little bit further onto the green, giving our ball more time to roll on the green before it comes back, because in this case I'm straight at the pin with the ball coming back. The problem is that I'm not compensating enough for the backspin and the headwind together, that the ball is going to just bounce on the green, and then it's going to bounce, and then it's going to bounce over the hole, and that's not something we want to do. Okay, so another course with a darker view, and once again this is going to be bright in the tournament. Headwind just to lay up. There isn't much to do. We need to just get it up there. I'm not trying to make it anything special than what it is. I just want to stay away from the rough there on top and not get in there, and then I'm gonna be fine. I'm playing with a power 3 ball to give myself the distance for the second shot mostly, so that I know that I can make a real crappy drive and give myself a very short distance with my drive and still have enough distance to then reach over to the spot that I want to next. When I get up here now, I have two options. I can either go straight forward, bounce myself over, or I can go up there to the right using the little fairway pad and bounce myself over to the little bigger fairway pad that we do have on the top right. The way of choosing is depending on the wind. If we would be having a wind that would be giving us a straight tailwind or a straight headwind going up towards our third shot on the top left, then we choose that route. If that would be the case on the top right, then we choose that route, because it's always better to approach the pin with a straight wind angle than having a crosswind. Even though you might feel a little bit more comfortable going with a specific route, then you might have to change because the opportunity is going to be better. Now I'm bouncing on the fairway before the rough and the sand, using max side spin to the right, which is 4.5 bars, and also as much topspin that I possibly can. This to get enough distance on the other side, and also to stay away from the rough. I'm also using a maximum amount of curl and to kick myself more towards the pin there to the right. I would say the snipe, like if we do know that we're going to go in and have a headwind or a crosswind on this hole, then we choose the sniper as our second club. If we do have a tailwind where there is a very little chance, but there is a chance to reach the green in two, then we're going to play with the Cataclysm or with the big dog to give ourselves the extra distance needed for the second shot. So this is in general a very boring par 5 where a birdie is kind of like happening 99% of the times. If we do have a tailwind in the tournament, we do need to try at least to get over the bunker directly with our drive, and then we have a shot with a power slice towards the pin. You can hear that is a very tough and a very aggressive approach, but it's still going to be the only way really to get the ball to the green in two. Now we do have the approach here towards the pin, and just to end up with elevation adjustment for hole number 6 is that we're having the drive 10% downhill. The second shot is going to be 0. We're not going to over or under adjust that shot anything. The third shot though is going to be downhill 10% as well, and it's going to be with a long iron. And the long iron is going to be whatever long iron you feel comfortable with going. And it's an open shot, so you can hit great left, great right. You're still going to have a chance going here towards the pin. We go over to hole number 7, and here we do want to make sure that we're having the elevation adjustment correctly. Our opponent is not taking into account that there is a 20% extra elevation adjustment, and therefore will drop down into the water. That's something that you will see many people doing, and I would say the overpower that our opponent used in the end was the kind of the tiebreaker, because it's you don't need overpower, and I think it must have been some type of not something he did deliberately. Now I'm using, as you can see here, with the tailwind, I'm using half a bar of backspin. I would say stay away from using backspin in tailwind. Like it's a straight tailwind, go without backspin. If we do have a crosswind, I would go with 1 to 1.5 bar topspin. And if I do have a headwind, 2 to 2.5 bar topspin, bounce over the water. Then max distance here with a 20% over adjustment is going to be very nice little shot. The thing as well here, if you do have a rocket, and you do maybe have a quarterback 11.9 plus, then you can actually approach the pin by going over the water directly, but I would like to say that that would be most likely in play when we do have a crosswind or a headwind, not with a tailwind. Hole number 8, the final of the par 4s, and this is a super good opportunity for making an eagle from distance. First, we're going to choose the route that suits the wind. In tour play, it doesn't really matter. Then you choose the side that you feel the most comfortable with. But in tournament, you can lay up. Like if we have this wind in the tournament, that means that we have this wind for the second shot as well. Then we're going to play on the left side, using 4.5 bar topspin, as much side spin to the right possible. You don't need to use any curl. I don't know why I'm doing that. I think it's because I'm only having a navigator. And then we want the ball to stop here on the fairway. We're getting a very weird roll here on the fairway, but many of the times the ball stops sooner, and then this would have been, or this is a very good chance for us to making an eagle from distance. If the wind would be like this from the start, now this is a regular tour play game, so that's why the wind angle is changing, but if this would be the wind, then we would definitely be shooting over to the right as our opponent did, to then approach the pin from this angle instead, because we do have a straight wind. That is very important when you choose direction on a par 4 like this, and also other courses in tour play, but also in tournament play. I would say like this, that if you do have a tailwind, you can actually go for green in 1 here. It is a risky shot where you can end up in the rough or into the sand instead of getting the ball to green, but if we do have a tailwind, I at least feel it's worth a try. But I'm not sure that that's going to be the play all the time if it's not a very consistent drive going towards the pin in 1. The reason for that is that if we do have a very good wind to lay up, I feel personally very comfortable hitting my short iron in the hole all the time from distance. And that's something that me personally, and you for your own game, will have to decide. Either you're going to approach the pin from distance, or you're going to try to go for green. There is risks with both of it, that the drive could be a little bit more forgiving trying to go for green, while you need to hit perfect with your approach with a short iron, and also you can go into the sand or into the rough with trying to go for the green, and then it's going to be a tougher one than having to approach with a short iron from distance. So a lot of things to talk about there. 10% extra for the drive, 0 for the second shot for hole number 8. Hole number 9, 15% extra is yeah, a must. We do need to over adjust 15% max topspin, and I'm using 1 bar topspin, max side spin, sorry, to the left, and 1 bar topspin. I'm also using around 75% of the ball in curl to get the ball over there to the left. I'm playing with curl because I want to play a more aggressive line. I want the ball to get as much distance over to the left, which would mean that we have less distance towards the pin for the second shot. This is not an albatross attempt, even though there is a tailwind, and we will see people maybe go with a power hook or something, try to gain a lot of distance. I definitely feel that it's too risky, and I'm not gonna do that even though it's a tailwind. This is an eagle hole for me all day and every day, and as we finish up with this hole in the tournament, I feel that ending up with a nice little eagle is going to be definitely be a good thing for us. This is not a hole where we're going to win or lose the tournament, so therefore an eagle is the only focus in my book here. The only thing that I would say for the drive there is that do not overuse the topspin. It's very easy to look at it and see, I could actually use 3 or 4 bars, but you can't. The ball will roll over into the rough or into the sand, and then you're dead. You cannot reach for the green in 2. Now I do have the sniper, and this is the thing that I do want to change with this guide here for hole 9, is that I do want you to play with a big dog or with a cataclysm. Give yourself the extra 6 to 8 yard of distance, and give yourself that little room when it comes to approaching the pin. I'm going now with the top spin as I don't have the distance enough to bounce on the fairway, and the plan is to go over the rough directly and get the ball to stop either on the green or on the fringe or on the fairway. In a worst case scenario, you could try to bounce into the rough and then to roll out on the fairway before the green, and then have a wedge from distance there as well. The drive 15%, as I said. Second shot is going to be uphill, so it's 10% uphill adjustment, so it's a minus 10% for that. So this was a playthrough for Pro and Expert Division. If you do want to find all the other content for the tournament, the Glenmonarch 9-hole cup, then you can find that on golf-tommy.com, link in the description down below. Also, timestamps will be there as well, where you can navigate yourself easier through this playthrough. For those of you that do want to get updated text guide for this tournament, yes, there will be updated text guides. You can sign up on patreon.com/golf-tommy. Video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playtemic. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck in the Glenmonarch 9-hole cup.